Good morning, good evening, and welcome wherever you are watching from. My name is Sydney, and I am your host of Tub Talk. Today, we are going to be going over a very special topic in which I love and hold dearly to my heart. This is something that God has been giving me over and over again, trying to work in me this vision for what you guys essentially need. I have not just come up with the stuff on ChatGPT or anything like that. I really want to keep reiterating that as I move forward in this journey on this channel because it's valid to assume that in today's generation. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm just spitballing random things because this is straight from God. And I really do believe that with my testimony, that I have the ability to speak to people like you who actually need this word and to know that you're seen and understood. So if you work in the music industry or have worked in the music industry and you're just finding Jesus or trying to figure out if you even believe in Jesus, or maybe you feel convicted recently, like you're out there partying and doing drugs and stuff and you're just like, dude, this ain't it anymore, then you've come to the right place. Feel free to reach out to me and DM me either on my personal Instagram or on here, and I'm more than happy to talk with you and be there for you. No ask is too big in today's society, so I want to start off with that, and we're all here for you. Like, there is a group of people who are struggling with the same things that you are, and you're not alone. So, with that being said, let's get into the word. Today, our topic and my series title, or sermon title, I guess. These aren't really sermons. I don't know what else to call them besides that because there is a beginning, middle, and end with biblical principles in it. So kind of is a sermon. So we're going to call it that. Even though I'm not trying to be a pastor or anything like that, I'm literally just here to have a conversation with you and give you a word. So don't take it for what it's not. Okay. So my topic today is you will always be miserable chasing someone else's vision. Put that blankly. You will always be miserable chasing someone else's vision. God really does give us vision that he wants us to fulfill. It might look kind of similar to what somebody else is doing, but it's not at all. And that person that you might be comparing yourself to might not even be a Christian. So God might be calling you as a leader to that space so that way you can provide this for the kingdom. I think it's crazy when people are like, oh, mega churches always have the biggest lights and the this and then that. And it's like, yeah, but you go to a concert and they have the same thing. So why would the people who are serving God and trying to replicate heaven not have those things also? Like, I get it with the flying people and things, but hey, you don't know. Someone might have came from the circus and needed a place in that church, and they created this whole community for people who really needed to be in that space and wanted to serve God in that way. So I think judgment is not welcome here, and I fully believe if you believe in God and want to offer something to a church or the kingdom in general, which the kingdom, for anybody who's not understanding what I'm saying, is just the general population of people who believe in Christ. So if you want to offer something to that space and you have a talent that's not being showcased really in the kingdom, then bring it forward. There's a space for everybody. So the reason why I'm talking about this topic today is because I feel like a lot of us get caught up in like, oh, this person's doing this and oh, this person's doing this. And we never really find our way by doing that. I have conformed in a lot of ways to society where over my career where I'm like, oh, these people are doing this and in the music industry and that's what the standard is and that's what this is. And at the end of the day, standards change and like what you are called to is completely different than what I'm called to. And that's why you're unique versus me. So I think you should take advice from people who have wisdom and have been around the industry longer, but you can take advice and not copy paste. You can take advice and learn from their mistakes too. Like, Ask them, where did you fail to get here? And what can I avoid? That's super important also. So don't, get a manager and lose yourself in that process. I tell my clients that all the time, where I'm like, do not lose yourself by listening to the label, to listening to your manager, by them saying, oh, you have to do this to succeed. There are certain things for sure that you're going to have to do to succeed, and you're going to have to listen to people who have been around longer than you with certain things, because there are formulas that actually work. But use your discernment, which is your gift from God, from the Holy Spirit, to be able to tell when things aren't right. You know in your gut feeling, which is another word for that. You know your gut feeling of like, I don't think that's right, and follow that. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Galatians, which is one of my favorite books that Paul wrote, letters. So in Galatians, I'm going to give you a little bit of background as well, because I like to do that. That's how I digest the Bible easily. So if you're new to the Bible, this is a good thing for you. Paul wrote a bunch of letters over the time that he was evangelizing across the part of the world that the Bible is written in. So Paul wrote Galatians around 48 through 50 AD to counter the false teachings that were being insisted upon to the Gentile believers, which are people who are in the new faith, who are not of God's chosen people. So Paul is trying to write these letters to people in churches across the biblical area that he is writing in. Galatia is an area of the world that no longer exists, but there are a bunch of different sub-cities and countries and stuff within there, where people were going around and trying to spread Jewish law and tell the Gentiles that they needed to follow it. This is the first letter that Paul wrote, which is Galatians, in the long list of letters that he wrote. I love Paul's teachings. A lot of people actually don't like Paul that have issues with the Bible, because he's very new age and he came from literally killing Christians. So a lot of people, especially at that time too, did not like Paul. He went to jail and did a lot of things. So it was written to the southern churches in Galatia, which is where Paul was evangelizing during his first missionary, which is super important. You should do some history on Paul, do some history on his missionary lessons and where he was going throughout his time, because Paul wrote this right after he got saved. So it's really important because it's literally his first letter. But he says something here in Galatians 1:10 that I love, and it's accurate to what I'm talking about, okay? So you want to go and say this: am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? And there's a different translation here. Obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. Which is true, because you're literally turning your back on God if you're paying attention to what this person only says. So I don't go to people for advice hardly at all anymore, because I'm praying. So this right here just further proves that you shouldn't, because also a lot of people might have mixed feelings about what you're doing or your project or your music, and they might not get the vision because they're not called to be on your walk with you. And because you're in close proximity with these people, you're like, oh, I want their advice because I love them. And while that's true and okay, I think it's important to get a certain level of input to make sure that you're on the right track. But go to people who are either further along than you or believe in Jesus, like a pastor or something like that, where you can ask them if this is on the right track biblically. Because you asking someone who's also on their faith journey or barely on their faith journey, or maybe not at all, and you're asking them for advice, that can deter you from what your calling is. So be careful asking for advice frequently from people who are still trying to figure it out themselves. Go to source, pray, fast, Fasting is a really big deal. I know it's hard, but fast, and not just water fast. I fast from social media. I fast from TV, secular music. I do a lot of different types of fasting to really hear from God in different ways, especially with my work and helping you guys and making sure that I'm being obedient to what God has called me to do. And you should be doing the same. With this word in Galatians that Paul is saying, am I now seeking the approval of man or God? Write that down and put it up in your bathroom. Put it up right on your laptop. Put it everywhere and make sure before you get on every call, before you do anything in your career, am I doing this for God or am I doing this for the approval of man? And just keep on asking yourself that. Like, am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this because I feel good and confident and my ego is, oh my gosh, yes, love it. Like, are you doing it for that reason or are you doing it for God? And, like, it's okay to be confident. Don't get it twisted. But you need to make sure that you're not operating out of your ego in the process. So to do that, you pray about everything. You make sure your heart is in the correct posture before you go on stage, before you do literally anything. Take 5 minutes in the green room alone. Kick everybody out. You can do that. You don't have to be nice. You can be like, hey guys, I'm about to go on in 5 minutes. I need 10 seconds with God by myself. And if you're scared to tell anybody that, just be like, hey, I need everybody to clear out. I need to clear my mind before I go on stage. And I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that. They get it. It's your job. So, moving on with that, you seeking the approval of humans and stuff also plays into you following trends. And I do think like, oh yeah, some trends are cute and whatever else. And like, yes, there's TikTok trends and things like that. But make sure it's in line with your mission. Like, don't do it just because it's trending. I promise it's not going to be trending in 2 weeks. And if it is, that's great. But that doesn't mean it's still a part of your mission. Like, you can not follow what everybody is doing. That's how people get famous in the first place. Chappell Roan got famous because she's different and she chose to be different. Everybody in Fleetwood Mac, different, like they really were spearheading that part of the industry. And Nirvana was different. Britney was different. Cher was different. Michael Jackson was different. Prince was different. And they never competed with each other. Like, they might have had beef, but nobody ever competed with each other because they were all unique in their own ways. And that's how stars are born. Because you are true to your inner self. Michael Jackson and Prince never let anybody tell them anything, including their managers. You have to remember, I've said this before too, they work for you. Not the other way around. They can give you advice and be like, oh, I've been in the industry for 30 plus years and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's great. But guess what? I look at my people who I look up to and I say, they're not taking advice from people like you. So I'm not going to do the same. And that's okay. You have to remember that freedom comes when you walk in your God-given lane. Like, I am different from you for a reason. If we were supposed to be the same, all of us, then God wouldn't have created so many of us. We all have a unique purpose to the kingdom. And some of us are meant to collaborate. Some of us might have similar visions because we're supposed to build the same vision. A lot of people think like, oh, she's copying my idea. How about you DM her and y'all do it together? It's pretty normal for people to share vision. Like, some people are straight up copying because they don't have vision. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay for people to copy you because you might spark their vision by you being you. So, stop searching for a niche. Also, I think this is a really big thing on the internet right now. Everybody tells you need to find a niche. You need to do this. You need to do that. Pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche. Trends change over time, and so does your niche. Like, what works this year is not going to work in 5 years for anything. Technology, the way you operate, like literally anything. So your mind and your whole skin sheds in 7 years anyway. So why would you be operating in an old mindset for the rest of your life? You are supposed to change and let God continue to renew you as you go throughout your career, right? So don't pick one niche. Pick what feels right in your heart and follow that continuously. It's going to change over time, and your team's going to change over time. Your vision is going to change over time. It's going to develop. You build on things. You keep the same goal and vision, which is to follow what God's calling you to do. And you might know what the end goal is, and some of you might not, and that's okay too. Like, you will eventually. You're going to look up one day and be like, okay, that's why I went through that. Or, oh, that actually was an answered prayer, but I'm glad that didn't work out because I wasn't supposed to be there. And you'll know if you're obedient. So stop searching for a niche. The most authentic artists aren't following niches, like, at all. Even if you want to talk about fashion, Wisdom K, nobody's like him at all. Like, nobody's like him. So why would you, in the fashion world, try and be anything but unique, you know? Like, you need to do the same in the music industry. The people at the top right now, I think they're all pretty similar. And there's a difficulty when there's too much similarity in society. People just begin to copy each other, and they're like, oh, I like that idea or whatever, and nobody's being unique really anymore. So I think we're battling AI in a lot of ways too with that, because it's so easy and accessible that people aren't being creative in the ways that they should be. Make sure you're just not copying people online. Follow your heart and listen to God. I want you to fall back into yourself, go back into your childhood, figure out what you loved about music in the first place, like what drew you into your project, and really think about that kind of stuff and pull away from trends. Like, create your own trends. Not everybody's going to hop on at first, and that's okay. You're going to be different, and you're going to be a trailblazer. One thing that I say following God is like walking through tall grass, because a lot of people aren't doing it, for one, and two, you have no idea where you're going. And a lot of the time, God is silent on when you're doing good. So it's even more difficult because you're like, Lord, what am I supposed to be doing? And as long as you stay obedient and you keep asking that question of like, Lord, is this what you want? You keep going back to asking God for his opinion rather than man's approval, and you keep praying and you keep fasting, you will get to where you're supposed to go. God's not going to lead you in the wrong direction. And your obedience and continuing to surrender and be like, God, what do you want me to do in every single situation you go into, whether it's the grocery store or a meeting or you're making videos, like, surrender it all, and God will bring the creative ideas and bring you to the right people. I promise. I want you to do some reflection questions. I do this every single video. So your reflection questions this week are you shaping your career around others' expectations and not God's? Or God's. I guess you could word it that way too. Are you shaping your career around others' expectations or God's? Because I will tell you, at first, I was not shaping my career goals around God at all. I was like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I was shaping it off of what I saw online. Oh, I really like the way this person did this, and I really like this, and I really like this. And I was creating this vision in my head that wasn't even what God had planned for my life. And I actually had to deconstruct the entire thing. And I had to rebuild it. And it was miserable because you're like literally letting go of your baby at that point. So make sure that you're building your vision around God's instead of yours. Like, it's okay to share vision with God. You have to. You need to be in agreement. But also make sure that you're sharing his vision first. So write that down. Unpack that. It could be 2 paragraphs. It could be a thesis. Like, I don't know, just get deep into it. Like, are you shaping your career around all of these agents, all your manager's opinion, all these expectations of society? Oh, you have to post every single day. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do this. You have to do that. Or are you going with God's choices for your career? Okay, second reflection question. How can you better trust God's unique vision for your artistry? I'll say it again. How can you better trust God's unique vision for your artistry? Because everybody is different. So you need to sit there and you need to ask yourself, God, how can I trust your vision more than my own? Or how can I differentiate when people are giving me vision from you versus from their own mind or from past experience? How can I know that it's you talking? And how can you just better trust his vision for your life instead of being fearful? You need to sit there and ask yourself, like, I want to trust you, God. And it's not going to be easy because you're trusting something you can't see. You can only feel him. And that's really hard. It's not supposed to be easy. It's a faith thing. And that will stretch you further than anything in life, is building your faith to trust God. I say this all the time. You can have faith in God and be like, oh yeah, I have faith that this will happen to you. And you can believe it for other people and yourself. But having trust in the Lord is completely different because you are laying it all down. Having faith can kind of feel like a blanket almost, where you're like, oh yeah, I have faith that this will happen. But walking in that faith requires trust and giving it up. Giving up your control of the situation, which if you're like me, I love having control over my schedule. I love having control over what I eat. I love cooking at home because I know what I'm putting in it instead of going to a store and being like, oh, they're putting seed oils in there. I'm a little nuts. But yeah, it's up to you to let go and let God for real. Like, I know people say that jokingly, but it's true. You have to let go and let God and have crazy faith and trust in that, in the situation, and that he's got your career figured out for you. So now that you have those reflection questions, I want you to write down 3 ways you've compared yourself to others this week. Whether it's online, oh, she looks really good in a bikini and I don't. Or he's got a really great sound and I don't know how to make that synth. Oh, they master a lot better than I do and I just don't know how to do it. Like, what are you comparing yourself to? And pray over those things and release it to God. And also ask him to give you vision and strength to develop those skills or to develop that confidence in yourself. I think that's really important. And I'm even speaking for myself too. I have a problem with comparing myself to other people online all the time and feeling like I'm not good enough. So write down 2 to 3 ways that you've compared yourself this week to others online or just in person. Like, oh, they drive a better car than I do. Or how do they have it all figured out? Most people don't. So just, they might be faking it. But write those things down. And I hope you have a great week. This is the start of the week. You know, Mondays are the best days, I think, because it's a fresh new chapter. You just had a great day at church, hopefully, yesterday, and resting. So really ponder those reflection questions and write down what you did to yourself this week to compare. And be kind to yourself. It's okay to compare healthily if you're feeling convicted and being like, oh, I'm doing drugs and I know I'm not supposed to be, and this person is living with God. Like, okay, yeah, that's okay to compare yourself, but there's a difference between unhealthy comparison and healthy comparison. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week.